Okay, so in this session, I'll be giving a brief walkthrough of TeamCity and what is continuous integration and why it is required. And later we can have one more session to demonstrate creating a test project and do it. So here comes the continuous integration, where which has become a mainstream in software development, as most of you are aware. So in TeamCity is one of the CI tool, which is also known as the CI server. So it is TeamCity is by JetBrains, and it's a tool where we have so many tools which are in the market, but as of now we are using TeamCity in DB, but Jenkins, Bamboo, TeamCity, and all other tools were available. And TeamCity is something which is user friendly. The UI is very informative, and the so here comes like next why we are using a continuous integration and what are sorry.
Yeah,
Maulika,
Maulika, one.
Yeah, Maulika, can you put that on a full screen?
Yeah. Yeah. So while Maulika is doing, Maulika, one quick thing. I'll just give 2 minutes to walk through of what this comes in. Yeah. So
Okay.
basically this comes as part of the basic DevOps process. Like we have the continuous integration and continuous deployment in place. So TeamCity comes as a part of during the continuous integration, where you trigger your builds when immediately after the check-in. Yeah, so this comes as a second part. So maybe I'll so the first part is basically on you check in the code, so that goes to the Bitbucket, or the Bitbucket is basically a wrapper on top of the GitHub, Git. So that goes into your the repository, which is nothing but the repository. Yeah, the code goes into the Bitbucket or the repository, and from there on we need to build the code. Yeah, so that is where the TeamCity or any kind of integration tools comes into picture, Jenkins and other things. Yeah, and so either we can trigger, I think she'll be touching it. So either we can trigger the same continuous integration directly with the check-in from the Bitbucket. So we can configure in the GitHub or the Bitbucket, saying that after a check-in, trigger this TeamCity job. So after you configure it, you trigger it off. So that is one kind of thing. The other one is kind of thing is basically you try to do lookup, set up in the TeamCity to do a direct go to GitHub and pull out, look for any kind of changes which has been configured, and if there is a changes or commit which has been occurred against that branch, then you trigger these builds. So that is how this flows. Yeah. So CI comes at the second part. First part will be the checking in the code to the repository, and the second part will be after you check in the code, this integration builds has to be triggered. Yeah, so that is the second part. She's covering. The first part, maybe Pradeep from the GPC2 team, he'll be covering the first part. Yeah, maybe that will be sometime next week. Yeah, over to you, Maulika. Yeah.
Okay, so thanks, Arun. So regarding the continuous integration which we are going through right now, so we have advantages or the benefits of using the continuous integration. Like as Arun said, getting this code checked into Bitbucket and building that with the TeamCity is something which you do every single day, and integrating with the TeamCity with the code which you have committed into the repository, which is a common repository. So that is where continuous integration comes. So using the continuous integration, you'll have the issues or the bugs which are identified can be fixed in the process before going into the production. And this TeamCity, the continuous integration, has most of the features which are oriented with the developers, which helps them to build their code. And so additional plugins are not required for TeamCity. as everything is done, all the plugins will be installed in while we install the TeamCity agents and TeamCity on the server. Compared to the other tools which are available in the market, TeamCity has this benefit of internal plugins which are there with whatever configurations you wanted to do. It might be a integration test configuration, it might be a test unit test configuration. So that is one benefit of it, and the delivery of the code or the software happens frequently with the users or the clients, which is another benefit. And you can run the builds simultaneously, like n number of users can run the builds at a time based on the compatibility of the agents, or we'll go through them in the session. So that is another benefit, and artifacts will be available once the build is done, so they'll be ready to deploy if everything is fine. So these are the benefits which we have. And continuous integration also has this build configuration steps where you can automate the builds based on the settings which we wanted to for our project. So coming to the next thing, key practices and the benefits which we have for what is this continuous integration. So check-in is something a developer do continuously, so that if it is regularly done, then TeamCity is where it will grab or identify the changes from the version control system where you'll commit the code. So it will automate the build based on the settings again. So if you do it automated, if you give the settings automated to get the build triggered, then it will run at the time when you commit the code, or you can trigger it manually, or you can schedule it by end of the day or whenever you want it to. And the automated builds, as I said now, you can give the settings based on which it will automate, or based on the timings you can give. And continuous integration also has testing check-in code, like you can give the build steps based on that. You can have unit test, functional test done in this. And the artifacts, so artifacts gets generated after the build is done, which you can use it for deployment or for testing. So you can check the artifacts in TeamCity. And build status, you can check the build status where and when and how it is going through step by step. You can see it. So this is a web application server. You can say that you can see whatever is running on the server on the web, like UI you can see, and it is very understandable to everyone, like what is happening. And based on the parameters what you have given, it will show you the what is it in the UI. You can see the status of the build. So when the build is hung, or when the build is broken, or when the build is delaying, or if it is taking more time, you will have all the settings so that you can identify the build status easily and fix it. So these are the key practices and also the benefits from TeamCity or following continuous integration. And so coming to TeamCity, so as I said earlier, like it is continuously integrating your code with the tool. Like whenever you're committing, it is getting built and it is getting deployed. So on a regular basis, you're doing it uh, for the project delivery. So it can be any project, like Java, .NET, Python, any project. TeamCity supports all the projects which are related, which we use in our project, and also so many of them. And so the TC terminology which we use in um, TeamCity builds. So these are the basic terminologies which we use. So till now, if anyone is having any doubts, you can raise. Or Okay, so the terminology in TeamCity mostly you will hear all of them which are here listed. So the build agent, so where the build agent is something which is an engine. Without a build agent, you can't get the build done. So it's kind of a server. It is configured on a server, and users can test it or build it, and that's part of build agent and TeamCity server. So TeamCity server is a place where a project is being configured and it is placed on the server. So all the configurations required for the project you will be configuring on TeamCity. So that's where the TeamCity server comes in. And build queue. So when you have like 4 to 5 build agents and you are running more than we have 10 users running 10 builds, and based on the availability of the agent, the builds will start running. So four builds are triggered, and 4 agents we have, sorry, and 10 members are available to everyone had wanted their build to be done. So based on the queue, it will, once the compatible agent gets to ideal state, then the other builds will get picked up. So that is the build queue, and you can see the queue as well in TeamCity UI. And build is something which, you know, it's a creation of the application version or a software version. And the artifacts, build artifact is what you get after the build is done, like the zip file or a tar file or a war file, any kind of a format what you wanted for, it will generate the artifact based on your configurations. It can be in any repository which is available for the artifacts, or you can get it from TeamCity as a zip file if you don't want that to get it uploaded somewhere specifically. And then project is something what we have, like all gpc2, whatever applications we have that are called as projects in TeamCity. So every project will have a unique ID and a unique project name and a description which it says that what application is for. And build configuration. So build configuration is the setting of build steps. Like you have all the build steps ready, and which are used to get the code build using the configurations which we have got for the version control system, or the deployment tool which we get configured with TeamCity, or the artifactory or any repository which we wanted to. So all these tools which we are getting integrated with the TeamCity comes with the build configuration. So you have to configure all the tools with the TeamCity to get your work done. And build step. So build step is a, what do you say? It's a task. I would say, like there are number of steps which you can have for a single job. So one step does one work and other does another task. So altogether we would call it as a build configuration or and build step. So you will have all the command lines and you can configure them. And build trigger. Build trigger is something which I have already told you that we can automate it by triggering uh, it. It automates itself when you give a script, or you can give the configurations or set the parameters in such a way that it gets automated when you commit something into Bitbucket or a version control system. So it will uh, pick the changes from there and build automatically. Or if you want that to be done once all the feature teams commit all their changes, and then when you want to trigger, that is the other case. And one more thing is the scheduled one. Whenever you want that build to be done, then you can schedule it. That's the TeamCity terminology which we'll be seeing in this session. So if you have any doubts till here,
Yeah. So just to add on, so yeah, build agent. Yeah, few information I just want to give it alone. So the build agent is the one which actually, what do you call, does the building. So there will be multiple agents. Yeah. So if we go the third point, which is the build queue. So you can manually trigger the builds, or it can be from the check-in. The builds will be triggered, and that will be queued. Yeah, and immediately it will not be executed, and you need some kind of workers which needs to pick up the job and then process it. Yeah, so that worker is nothing but the build agent. So if you, for example, if everybody tries to do a check-in, and the for their builds, I mean, for their check-in, a build will be triggered. Yeah, but immediately that build will not be started on the TeamCity server because of, what do you call, the constraint on the resources. Okay, so that is where whenever a job which is eligible for to be triggered, so that gets filled up in the build queue. Yeah, and build agents are the one which will be configured for every server, saying that there will be 5 agents or 10 agents which will be working on the queue. Basically, agents are the workers, or the real what do you call, real one which does your build. Yeah, so that will not be, I mean, it will be a configured number, so it will be 5 or 10 per server. Yeah, and even if the build queue has 50 jobs which needs to be built. Yeah, so then the build agents will go based on the number of freely or available build agents. It will go to the queue and pick up the task and then start executing it. Yeah, so build agent is actually a worker, and build queue is basically you will have whatever jobs which needs to be built, which will get queued there, and build agents will go and pick it up and start, what do you call, trigger the builds. Yeah, so that you just need to understand. So this is like a worker, build agent is like a worker, and build queue is basically the queue of the jobs. Whatever you try to trigger it, it can be manual or it can be automated from through the team's bit bucket. So that gets added to the queue. Whenever there are free agents there, it'll go pick up that job from the queue and start executing it. Yeah, so that part alone you just need to understand on that. Yeah, Maulika, yeah, carry on. Yeah.
Thanks, Arun. So, so this is the terminology, and the next thing is the advantages and disadvantages of using TeamCity. So, as you know, advantages are more like every day, regularly, when you are automating the code which you're committing into the version control system. So then it will trigger the build. So based on the settings, it happens. So automation is something which helps reduce the manual work. And this is a web, like you can view it on web, and even when the server is like it is running on the server, when the build is running on the server. So as I told before, so this is one of the advantage. And you can also test your changes individually with the changes which you have in your branch. Like it cannot be, it is a remote branch of yours and you have did some changes, and you can test it without committing into the master branch and going further and find some difficulty in the build. And this is another advantage. And you can see the builds where they have broken, and you can see the error, why it is causing the build to hung or the build to stop somewhere, or when it is throwing errors or warnings, you can find it easily in the web page itself. And the other thing is the customer support from TC is based on the license we have. That's it. And disadvantages we have is TeamCity is not an open source application or a software. So we have they only give 3 agents for free, and upon 100 build users, you have to get a license and you need to pay for it. And TC has less user community because other tools which we have in market are open source. So that is one of the reasons most of them, mostly TeamCity is not used in the market. Jenkins is something which is used. That's it. So I'll give a like if anyone knows anything about TeamCity, if they while using, they can share the advantages or disadvantages, whatever you have faced or you want to share. Anyone here?
So every CI tool will give you more or less every CI tool is going to give more or less the same kind of advantages and other things. Yeah. So just to highlight few points, which is like which is not mentioned here. So you can do incremental builds, basically like every time you don't need to build everything. Yeah. And
Yes.
you can do the build what got, I mean, basically you can do the compilation for the pieces that got changed. Yeah. So it will have a baseline of all the files which were there, and then what it got changed alone, it will try to recompile instead of compiling everything. So that incremental build and all, we can try to do it with the TeamCity. Yeah, obviously it is with any CI things. Yeah, but that is one feature which we can try to use it. Yeah, and or two things are there. Either you can check out your branch on the agents, or you can check out your branch on the server. Yeah. So if you are trying to check out the branch and other things and all on the agents, you can try to clean up the checkout directory every time so that it gets built from the scratch, or you can try to check out on the server, which will allow to do the pull out the changes what has actually changed. For example, if there are 100 files in a repository and only 5 files you have changed it, so then you don't need to compile all 100 files. Yeah. So in that case, you can try to compile only those files. So that can be done when it gets checked out on the server. So this is what is called as the incremental build. So that feature is available. Yeah. And few things is about the steps and other things. For example, if you have a project which has multiple technologies. Yeah. So in that case, you cannot have a single step. What do you call it? You cannot have a single step to build Java, C++, Python. So you can't have a single step. So that is where you will be having multiple steps. And whenever you don't want those steps, you can disable it. Yeah. And there are a lot of other configurations as well, saying that you can start off only when the previous steps are completed successfully. So all these configuration, I think she will be touching upon, but these are the few steps you can consider for what is there. Yeah, and this is a straightforward one. When you don't, when if you start using it for one time, yeah, then if you get used to what do you call it, the UI facilities where things are, then it will be easy for you to set up or do the configuration. Yeah, but yeah, only the admins will have the configuration rights, but anybody can trigger the builds with the viewer access. Yeah, so that is one
So,
point.
Arun, so you were
Yeah.
highlighting that you wanted access. So, sorry. So, this particular point, based on our discussion, I haven't caught up with Molika. I wanted to catch up with you on this particular note as well. We only
Yeah.
discussed about the U deploy part, but I want to know if Molika. So, did Arun reach out to you, basically asking for one of the application market data specifically to able to, like, check in the code and move code to the TeamCity farm? Was this something that you have access to and you would be able to do it, or do we need any
Uh, uh,
external?
uh,
So,
No, no, just to highlight, yeah. So that I have admin access, so that we are able to trigger it from the Bitbucket for every check-in to the TeamCity. So that part is there. So what I was taking help is basically from the TeamCity, whether we can directly deploy the job to you deploy. So that part, not
Okay.
integration. Yeah. So pushing to the artifacts, those things and all we can take care. So what I was requesting is about after it gets built, yeah, and pushed to the artifactory, and we are separately doing the deployment to you deploy. Yeah. So this process, I want to make it as a complete flow without manual intervention, so that after pushing it to the Artifactory, the next step should be fetching the fetching the things which got pushed to the Artifactory, fetching it from the Artifactory, and then deploying it to UDeploy.
Got it.
Yes. So that part, basically the CD.
That part of the question, Arun, after this particular call, I will send you the details that I have received and the action items, how we can resolve this. Feedback that I've received from DB as well. So we will discuss that offline. But I just wanted to figure out what, if there was any restriction, any way that, since privileges were available, I was trying to figure out whether that resolves your problem. Okay. Now I get your concern.
Yeah.
Cheers. Thanks.
Okay, Manish here. I need to drop off, but Maulik, I think we need say, okay, I guess you're going to show how it is being done, fine. And also, if suppose the feature team member has to look at something, right, be it the Scrum Master or the members themselves, if they have to look at a build being triggered from the feature branch, how can they monitor it in and what can be seen from the TeamCity console or the URL itself? Plus, if they need to do it, what will be the sort of access they would need? I think if you take Stash, there is really, but I'm not sure whether that sort of access privileges which allows somebody to view and not do a build itself is available or not. But please cover those points so that we can see, be it the Scrum Master or somebody in the feature team can monitor, or if the Scrum Master need to be enabled to trigger a build based on the feature team's status of where they are. So how it can be done. So please cover those. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. I'll cover that. This is how when we log into the TeamCity, you will see the first page or a welcome page, I would say. So these are the projects: RFTS, GMIS, Global MIS, and Edge, GPC, GPC2. I have admin access to, and limits is something which I have only read access. So we CM team is supporting Edge and GPC2 builds as of now. And so so this is the administration page where you will see these are the projects. If you click here, you will have all the projects which are available or which you have access to or which you have been working on with a particular role on TeamCity. And coming to the next section where the changes. So here I have not done any changes, so I wouldn't be seeing any changes which are done to